there, my name is Stephanie Demonte and I blog at the Boss Mama Diaries. I blog about the struggles and daily wins of being a work from home boss with the added challenge of raising a baby in addition to businesses. My full-time job is I run a full-service portrait studio in Ottawa, Ontario, and I specialize in pregnancy through baby's first year and beyond. I also run a e-company where I offer education to other small businesses on how to get found locally in search results, which is commonly known as SEO, which is search engine optimization. So when I added a baby to the mix, my schedule was definitely full, and the already difficult working from home balance that I had somewhat set up, no one ever really has it all together, became that much more of a different beast in itself. And so today I'm here to talk to you about my transition from being a work from home boss to being a work from home boss mama. And also I will be providing some tips and tricks that I have learned along the way of, for simplistic purposes, time management in terms of finding that work-life balance. And when I say balance, it doesn't mean the equilibrium of the scales. It means they are constantly moving. Very rarely are they actually even and stopped, and that is totally okay. The key is finding the balance, which means nothing falls and breaks in the system. So to start off, I will let you know a little bit about how I run my business from home and how I incorporate that into my life as a mom. So most of my business tasks are done at a computer. As much as the photographer's life is glamorous, a little bit of that time is actually spent behind the camera, despite the many subjects that I have. So the key is to having a designated space. And ideally you would have a personal and a business computer, but life is not ideal. And not everyone can afford to have that luxury. So for purposes of separating the two, it's ideal to have it not in a family space or a common space in the house that you share with other people. A, you can write off the space in your taxes if it's separate, and B, it really allows you to close that door on work time and home time. Mine happens to be in my studio, which is technically the main floor of my home. It's dedicated studio space, so it needs to be walked through for us to go enjoy our meals in the kitchen, which makes it a little bit in the common space, which is why my husband's office is upstairs, our living room is downstairs, so the main floor is actually not meant as a living space other than the kitchen, which you can't really get around with. You can't build a kitchen on your upstairs floor. It doesn't work out quite that well. So that allows me to set aside time where when I'm at computer, I'm working, and my husband knows this. Sometimes I have my kiddo on the floor next to me while I'm working because I watch her full time, and that's how I started things with my family. Now, not right now because daycares are closed with the world health situation, but I have her in part-time daycare so that I actually have, a couple days a week to devote specifically to clients coming into the studio, whereas the rest of my work at my computer can be done with her either napping or on the floor next to me hanging out with her play toys. And of course, as she got older, she no longer just laid there or sat there content. She's moving all over the place now. So you'll notice that even though I'm happy to give you tips and tricks that I've learned along the way, it will still consistently change for you. And by consistently, I mean the only thing consistent is that it will change, not what changes. So that's where I have my space on my main floor. When I'm doing family time, it's either in the living room, the kitchen, or her nursery, so that it is definitely, I'm putting down the, let's call it proverbial ball. If we're juggling all the things, you're putting down that work ball so that you can spend time with family, for yourself, doing things, and you're not dropping it, because when you drop the ball, it breaks the system. It's, emotionally, physically, and it hurts everyone, because either you're stressed or you're having emotional problems with things, and to put that ball down is completely okay. In fact, it's recommended. Same thing with, that's to me what the extra childcare during the week was. I picked 2 or 3 days, sometimes it's one, where I put the family ball aside. My husband's at work, my daughter is in the care of someone else, and that entire day for me is focusing on that work ball. I'm getting all of the administrative things done if I don't have physical clients in the studio. I'm retouching images, I'm responding to emails, I'm sending out proposals, I'm doing the implementation on other businesses' websites for the SEO, or I'm in my studio doing product photography and phone calls, because a lot of those things I cannot do while my daughter is around. There's no way in hell I'm getting a phone call done with a client with my daughter. She is very vocal, whether it's happy or not so happy. So instead of feeling the guilt of trying to make her quiet down to match my life, focus on the family ball. She can be as loud as she wants, and then focusing on that work situation where I get as much done as I possibly can while she is out of the house. And same thing goes for when she's napping. I put the family ball aside and I pick up my work. And I do anything administrative that I possibly can while she's sleeping, so that when I do have that day or two available where she's at childcare, I can focus on having the clients here, because I can't do that while she's napping. For various reasons, which either you already know or will quickly discover, that nap time is very unpredictable. No matter how much sleep coaching or training you've done, it's unpredictable. That's the only thing that can be predicted, is that it's unpredictable. You'll notice that happens a lot with children. And in terms of every day when she's here, right now, it used to be 3, but I'm currently getting 2, and very soon I can tell it's going to be 1 nap a day. So that means that I have anywhere from 1 to 6 hours a day to do something for myself, whether I choose, to go to the living room and watch a few TV series, or knit a new prop for the studio, or focus on administrative work. It's completely up to me, and depends on, which one of those balls that I'm juggling that I want to focus on. And what I'm getting at is trying to do too many things at once, not a matter of if, but when, it will come back and bite you. And it's just, you need to focus on, 1, maybe 2 things at once. For example, you can totally, put your earbuds in, listen to some podcasts while you do the dishes or while you're cooking dinner, because, unless you're someone who needs to be focused in on, reading the instructions of the recipe, you can, loading the dishwasher and putting things away can be a mindless task, or so is going for a walk around the block. I did that a lot in the early days, thankfully summer, spring, when she was not napping at all, unless I was walking around. So I would listen to my podcast so that my brain was actively learning, because I'm one of those people who I can't do one thing at once. It just doesn't work for me. So that's where, the multitasking is not necessarily something that people can actually do, despite the fact that we believe it. Doing it that way is the mindless, you can just keep walking in circles, you don't really need to focus on that, except the cars, safety first. And learning actively that way totally works. But now that she's older and we're going to the park, we're actively, paying attention to her and watching her and interacting with her, so the podcast thing doesn't quite work. And of course, everything is all about adaptation, changing things to match the situation, and really keeping your entire life flexible. Because if you don't have flexibility, bend it too far and it breaks. And again, same concept, dropping the ball, it breaks. The system breaks. And if you're lucky, you don't break. So those are the recommendations that I have in terms of that work-life balance. It's really acknowledging that things very rarely will be balanced in the sense of even. They might be even for, a little bit while you're tipping those scales, but the main thing that we want to remember is, don't break the system, don't break the scales or the ball or whatever proverbial thing that you want to go, whichever metaphor, is you want to focus on what's important in that one given moment, and let the rest stay to the side until you're ready to swap things out. So with that, there are of course ways to be extra productive with the little time that you do have. And in terms of what type of business you have, or if you're working from home, not running your own business, being productive in the time that you do have is very important. And there are different tips and tricks that will help you get more done in a shorter amount of time while not having to sacrifice quality. So as the age-old saying is, quality over quantity, but we still want to make able that you have the option to make lots of things happen during that little time. So for me, work time is nap time and after she goes to bed. But if I'm tired and I need the sleep, then I need to decide which one or the other that I'm working. It's either nap time or after bed, because if I just work, I eventually get too exhausted and that's when balls get dropped. So for me, I try to focus the first nap of the day on anything that absolutely has to be done that day, so that if for whatever reason she doesn't nap throughout the rest of the day, my main must be done things did get completed. So for me, that is starting nap time with phone calls, because if she's sleeping, I can at least try to make them done. Even if she only sleeps for 20 minutes, I can at least get 1 or 2 consult calls done. After that, I turn to administrative work that just, it can't be done while she's around. So things like retouching, I can do 1 or 2 photos while she's being calm, and then if she decides to run off, I can drop it and come back to finish it. Whereas things like if I have to do spreadsheets where math are involved, it requires a little bit more brain power, so I do those. And of course, in that time, because I am breastfeeding, I'm sending breast milk to daycare or her childcare, wherever she may be that day. So I do have to pump during the day, and it's much easier to do while she's not around, so that she's not A, cranky because she sees food she can't have, or B, she's not coming to pull on the cables, and we don't want the very expensive machinery to come crashing down on the floor either. So those are my top 3 things that get done during that morning nap. And in the afternoon, it depends on how tired I am. Sometimes I will nap for a little bit while she does, and then I will get back to doing the administrative tasks. And for me, the most important thing to get done, in no particular order, is marketing to get new clients, completing the actual work that I'm being paid to do. So in this instance, it would be either retouching images to place my print orders to the labs, or implementing the SEO on client websites. So those are the things that business essential, whereas if I'm not doing what I'm being paid to do, nobody's gonna pay me anymore. And if I'm not actively marketing to get those new paying clients, then the odds are no one is going to find me and hire me. So those are the 2 most important things for me to get done. And after that, it allows me to do the more, I don't want to say mindless tasks, because you do have to put the effort in, but things like social media and going in and engaging with all the people who are liking and commenting on your posts. It's making sure that the blog posts get published and that my portfolio gets updated, so that what I am marketing, they come to my website, they don't immediately leave because there's nothing for them. That is actually a very important thing that you should make sure that your website has all the time. While I'm on the topic, is there's no sense, spending dollars and dollars and dollars to have everybody congregate, let's go to the website, for them to get there and next, back. To make sure that you at least have that home page set up and completely ready for them to view, so that when they do get there, they know exactly what to do next. They can view your portfolio, they can contact you, they can see the items that you have for sale, depending on the type of business you run. Make it worth their while to land there. So from there, my next tasks are all of the things that don't actually need to get done, but I like to do them. For me, it's actually my excuse to go on a Netflix binge during a nap time, is I actually make a lot of my props, whether they're knit or sewn. And A, part of it is to save a little bit of money, but B, I actually enjoy doing it, and I pride myself on when I create an image, an artwork for a client, every single aspect is something that I've done. So whether that is finding, outsourcing props from all over the world, from great vendors, or literally making it myself, I love doing that. But I don't need to make, the the 97th wrap in my studio if I can just buy it, if that time can be better spent either retouching an image, doing some marketing, etc. So the biggest takeaway from this that I hope you get is that you don't have to do all the things all the time. Prioritize your tasks. Which ones make you the most money in the long run? So while marketing may not literally make you money, sometimes you have to spend it, doing that task will bring in money. Whereas things, superflu, like knitting a new hat for the studio, doesn't make me money unless that my job is to sell the hat, in which case might be your business, so something that would be on your priority list. And that when baby sleeps, yes, you can sleep, but in certain scenarios, especially if you run a business at home and you are taking care of or the majority of childcare, that you can, set things aside for, here and there to take care of yourself, but use that time wisely. And biggest recommendation as a mother is plan so that you only get to use a third of the time that you have available to you. Because most days, that's really all that you have left. And when you have a special project and you really need to get down into it, you know that if you're saying, let's say you had 3 hours every day based on 3 naps of 1 hour or 1 3-hour nap, which apparently you'll get there. 3 hours a day. You want to plan for 1. So if you have a 6-hour project, that's going to take you 6 days. And if you only get 3 days a week, that's going to be 2 weeks. So you plan your schedule for that 2-week time frame. If it only takes you a week, great. You have a week of leeway to either do something for yourself or start another project or make that project even better, get a better marketing plan, etc. And that is the biggest takeaway that I have learned from working from home as my own boss, and learned all over again once I brought a baby into the mix. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have, any clarifications, and if you want to find me online for my blog, it's bossmamadiaries.com, and I can also be found on Instagram and Facebook at bossmamadiaries. For my photography is purenaturalnewborn.com, same thing on Instagram. And for the SEO stuff, I'm on Instagram at the SEO Squirrel or theseosquirrel.com. And if you want to know how I manage all the things through this, it's not easy. I put balls down all the time. In fact, I put the website stuff down for my entire mat leave because as a self-employed individual, mat leave is not quite a figment of your imagination, but it is what you make of it. If you rely on the income, you work through it. I personally brought my caseload down to about a quarter of what it was the year before, and I was happy with that for about half the year. And then me and my must do more than one thing at all times. For that last half, I was doing two of my businesses, and that was good for me. I loved it. It may not be the same situation for you, but do you, I do me, and we all make the world go around that way. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Not just me, but anyone around you. If your neighbor can help by, bringing in your recycle bin that day of the week, great. If your mom or your mother-in-law live in the area and they can watch baby for an hour while you sleep because you used all your nap times to work and you really need that nap, ask for it. If your spouse can do anything to make your day better, odds are they're probably just as tired as you and they may not notice. Ask them. The answer you will get from someone is no or not right now. And for the most part, people are super understanding. So I do encourage you to ask for help and don't feel like you need to take on more than you want to or are ready to. So again, thank you for joining me. My name is Stephanie Demontney and I write for Boss Mama Diaries, and I am a portrait photographer at purenaturalnewbornphotography.com. Thank you.